He was out of there. How on earth do you reflect on that? What was he going on about?
Well, look, I mean, at the time, I was a little bit embarrassed because I thought the show's coming off the rails and it was a big show and Deontay Wilder's a big name. So I'm sitting there thinking I'm a bit embarrassed by it. Then I thought, he's a bit of a tit. And then I thought, is he on drugs or something? Or is this theatrics? And then I just came around to the conclusion that it's not right. He's not well. And all this ayahuasca stuff it's probably worked in reverse. I thought it was supposed to make you calm and zen-like. Listen, I didn't provoke Deontay Wilder by asking him a question that he didn't want to answer. I asked him a question about something he'd said, not something I was trying to engineer into clickbait. He called Tyson Fury a cheat. He's sitting in England. Tyson Fury, in some people's minds, is a legend in boxing. And so you're sitting in England. I thought, not unreasonable. Someone else asked him the question, and he didn't like it. And he can't answer it. So he gets all agitated and upset about it. He turns it into a debate about oppression. I mean, there's loads more that you didn't see. You know, he threatened to punch me in the face and talked about lynching and God knows whatever else. And I understand that he's got things in his life that have challenged him. But later on in the afternoon, you saw him. He went off to do some other stuff, and he was much more relaxed about it. But that looks to me like a man that's struggling with things, because there was no reason for that reaction. There was no provocation. There was no incitement. It wasn't a case of you were told not to ask that question, so don't ask it. No, I wasn't told not to ask that question. It was on the schedule by the producer. It was a reasonable question to ask, and so we asked it.
Sport is often filled with people trying to make a quick buck, often at fans' expenses. But sometimes someone on the fringes comes up with an exhibition idea that goes down a storm. Let me tell you about a couple of them. Mallorca 2007. Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer compete in what was dubbed the Battle of the Surfaces, a unique idea that reportedly almost got cancelled at the last minute when worms got into the grass. An 11th hour turf delivery got the match on, and despite some dodgy bounces on the new green stuff, Rafa and Roger slugged out a 3-set epic. Tennis has a history of exhibitions too, with the Battle of the Sexes in 1973 captivating audiences worldwide as Billie Jean King took on the former world #1 men's player Bobby Riggs, who talked down the women's game. Billie Jean King won. In motorsport, there was Monzanapolis in the 50s when American Indy cars went up against European F1 cars. But perhaps the best exhibitions have been the charity ones. In 1998, legends like Mike Atherton, Sachin Tendulkar and Glenn McGrath turned out at Lord's for a one-dayer in memory of Princess Diana. And since 2006, we've had Soccer Aid, which has raised an incredible amount of money. And if you get to see the likes of Jose Mourinho taking out Ollie Mers, then what's not to like?
What's happening, everyone, and welcome to the Rory Jennings show on talkSPORT. It has been a tremendous day of football action in the Premier League, and we have just seen Newcastle United lose at home to Brentford. It was a huge game, incredible end-to-end stuff, but ultimately the Bees reigned supreme at St James's Park. A really, really top-quality game, and it went in all sorts of directions. They found themselves 1-0 up, suddenly they're 2-0 down, and they finally get back into the game with a Bruno Guimaraes penalty before they press the self-destruct button and allow Brentford to snatch all 3 points. Geordies, I really do want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on what's going on at Newcastle this season? What are your thoughts on Eddie Howe? Give me a ring, 03717 22 3344. Arsenal fans, you must feel like the cat that got the cream. An incredible result for you today, sauntering to a 3-0 win at the Emirates over Sunderland, and you take yet another step towards winning the league. Now, this time last week, I was sat in this very chair and I was speaking about Victor Gyökeres. I labelled him a dud. Have I got that wrong? Arsenal fans, I do want to hear from you. 03717 22 3344. West Ham United got a huge win away from home in a relegation 6-pointer at Turf Moor. West Ham fans should be awarded a bonus point for that away end. Creating a song out of Bad Manners' Lip Up Fatty to commemorate your goal scorer, I thought that was absolutely outrageously brilliant. Villa drops another vital 2 points away from home against Bournemouth, despite yet another wonder goal from Morgan Rogers, and Chelsea made light work of Wolverhampton Wanderers as Cole Palmer's first half hat-trick proved enough to secure a 3-1 win. As always, this is your show. I really do want to hear from you. So please give me a ring to air your views to the nation on 03717 22 3344. This is the Rory Jennings show on talkSPORT. Right, we are going to go straight to the phone lines, and there is only one place to start. Arsenal Football Club are currently top of the league. They have played 25 games. They have won 17 of them, including a victory today against Sunderland. We are going to speak to Ian, the Arsenal fan. Ian, how are you feeling about the title charge?
Evening, Rory. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling quite good. You know, cards on the table. I don't want Arsenal to win the league, but there seems to be an inevitability about it. Is that fair?
Look, today, I'm actually quite relieved today. Last time we played Sunderland, it's probably one of the best defensive performances I've seen from a team, and the spirit and the drive that they had to actually get a result from us was quite incredible, to be fair. So to see us win 3-0 today, I think is another step in the right direction.
Yeah, I do as well. And look, you know, I spoke about Victor Gyökeres, and a lot of Arsenal fans got in touch with me. They thought that was far too harsh. They thought that I judged far too early. And I spoke, 6 goals in his last 8 games. On some definition, Victor Gyökeres is the most informed Premier League striker. Do you think I've got it wrong? Do you have faith in Victor Gyökeres?
No, I don't. Genuinely, I don't think you got it wrong, Rory. To be fair, until he starts scoring against the elite teams regularly, I don't think you can say that he's anything other than a dud at the minute. Do I have faith he'll come good? Yeah. Players take time to adapt to the Premier League. I know he's been here before, but he was younger. He was with Brighton. And it's a different ball game than where he is now, and the level he's got to play at is that much higher, right? But I've seen the way he scored some goals this year. Even the one today, it looked like he was still stumbling and falling over to get that finish. He just doesn't quite look the finished article, and until he ups that level and starts scoring consistently against those bigger teams, jury's still out on him, I think.
I think that's fair about Gyökeres. Can I ask you, though, from where you sit in the Premier League, you must just feel incredible. Like, you've got a 9-point lead and Manchester City take on Liverpool tomorrow. Like, that just couldn't be better, could it?
No, I mean, to start the season, if you'd given me this scenario at this point of the season, I would have snapped your hand off, to be fair. But I think we've been going in the right direction for many years. I think we missed a massive opportunity 3 seasons ago. We were playing some of the best football I've seen us play in a very, very long time, and ultimately we just didn't get it across the line. I think the lack of experience and lack of anyone that really won anything in that squad back then probably did affect us. We had a couple of injuries, but so does everyone, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think them 3 seasons ago, there's a big opportunity missed. But yeah, right now, the way we're playing, the form we're in, like I think I spoke to you and Jamie last week, and we basically said that Arsenal are winning ugly at times this season, right? But against the teams that we're expected to beat, we're showing that we can overpower teams, and there's a little combination of both. Would I like to see us win pretty a little bit more? Absolutely, who wouldn't? But
There is no such thing as a bad victory, though, Ian. And on that, I do agree with you. I think that Arsenal are in pole position. They look unstoppable, and 9 points clear. Watching, they've got their feet up and they're going to watch Manchester City, their biggest rival, take on Liverpool. That really is the perfect situation for Mikel Arteta's men. We're going to now change direction and speak to Jay. Jay, the Newcastle fan. Jay, at St James's Park, Newcastle United have just been booed off. What do you make of it?
Do you know what? I was at the Carabao Cup first leg, Newcastle v City, and the big takeaway from that, it's just I don't think I'm saying anything revolutionary here. They're missing that final bit of killer instinct. They're not running the same. They're not passing in the same way. There's so much of the flavour and the energy that made the side so incredible to watch over the last sort of, 18 to 24 months. They've just lost that. And it's one of those where you look at lots of great sides. And I know Newcastle aren't like, a City, for example, who've gone on and won the Premier League. They're not quite there yet. But I'm starting to get to a point where I'm thinking, have they hit the wall? Is it an amalgamation of the wrong transfers? It's just so difficult. It's so difficult to analyse what's going on at Newcastle.
It doesn't make any sense, Jay. Jay, it doesn't make any sense. Just before I came on air, obviously I'm listening to Jamie and Jason, but I've also got the football on. And Newcastle United totally dominated that second half. They were the better team. They created more chances. They overall deserved the victory. They were far more dominant than Brentford. And yet somehow, despite that dominance, they have managed to look a gift horse in the mouth and ultimately press a self-destruct button. So many mistakes, so many poor individual performances. What is going to happen here?
I don't know. I feel, do you know, it's a shame, man, because I absolutely adore Eddie Howe. I love what he's done for the place. And, he's got a lot of quote-unquote credit in the bank. But again, just from the games that I've been to this season, watching them, they're often the better side, but they just don't finish the chances. And then, going the other way, they just seem to let them in. The next one I'm going to is the United game, and I'm absolutely terrified. United at St James's is normally wonderful, but yeah, it looks like a tough one to be fair.
Jay, do you know when you think about Newcastle? Do you know when you think about Newcastle in their pomp, the way that Eddie Howe set them up, they played with that intensity that was basically unstoppable. Newcastle have conceded 15 goals in their last 5 games. They can't defend, can they?
No, not at all. But that's another thing as well. That's something that they were so good at, and the defence hasn't changed. Yeah, I appreciate Alexander Isak's gone. Massive change into the way that they attack the ball and they're the sort of the final third. But at the back, I don't really see what's changed. I know Livramento's out, etc. But it's just I wonder if there's that. I wonder if they've just lost that bit of confidence that you need to go on and win games.
Yeah, it could well be that. Thank you so much for your call. Brilliant stuff there from Jay. We're going to stay with Newcastle. We're going to cross now to Connor. Connor, just said it there.
Evening.
Booed off at St James's Park. That doesn't happen often. What is going on? Are Newcastle United in a crisis?
I honestly think we are, but the problem I think is Eddie Howe's immune to criticism. No one ever criticised him. Thomas Frank, for example, he has bad results at Tottenham Monday morning, talkSPORT. Everyone's on his back. Same with Amran. Eddie Howe's immune. It's been terrible for a while. When you look, I've seen a stat this morning. Newcastle in the last 4 seasons, which is 50 games, against the top 12, have only won 6 games. That's terrible.
Why do you think that is? I think you're onto something, by the way. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but why do you think Eddie Howe has so much credit in the bank?
Well, I love Eddie Howe and I love what he's done. He's made dreams come true, but the problem is he's been playing the same system with the same players for 3 years. Get the ball wide to Trippier, go back into a midfielder who tries to play the ball wide to a winger. If it doesn't work, we go back inside, back out the other side. And we've been found out, and the game's never changed. He makes the same substitutions at the same minutes, play the same system. The flat midfield three that hasn't worked for a while. The ball goes in behind into a 10, the turn. It's happened against Villa. When Deer went and scored, it just doesn't change. And I think he's at his ceiling, unfortunately, as much as he's done well for Newcastle. And I love him, but I think we need change.
Do you really? That was going to be my next question. Do you actually believe, if you were making the decision, do you honestly think it's time to part ways with Eddie Howe?
I do, but it's difficult because back onto Thomas Frank, I would have loved to have Thomas Frank in Newcastle, but look what's happening at Tottenham with him.
Yeah, it's tricky.
So it's difficult. It's who do you bring in next? That's the problem.
Yeah. Do you think he's the man to get you out of this crisis? If you concede that it is a crisis, do you think that he's the man to get you out of it?
Well, that's the other thing. He got me when we were down and out, and there was no one else to resolve. And like I say, no one could have done what he done. He's done it with worse players, but I'm just sick now. I've been in the game. I walked out early. Very, very rarely do that.
Oh, Connor, you were in the ground. Connor, sorry, I didn't realise you were there. What was it?
Yeah,
what was the
I
feeling? It's always great to talk to somebody who was at the game. What was the feeling in the stadium? How did it feel? Was it supportive? Like, obviously, booed off at the end. What was it like on the 70th minute, for example?
It's just quiet. That's the other thing. Everyone goes on about the atmosphere at St James's Park. There's no atmosphere. There hasn't been atmosphere for probably 18 months. And that's to do with the things they've done with tickets and stuff like that. But the football's not good. We're scraping. Like, a couple of the results have actually papered over cracks. That's the problem.
Yeah. It could be...
Newcastle fans are actually starting to argue amongst each other now.
Really? Do you think the Champions League has effectively kept Eddie Howe, not necessarily in a job, but do you think the Champions League has done a massive favour towards Eddie Howe?
Yeah, I would probably say so, yes. But then the other thing is, he keeps turning back to PSR. He was actually in charge of all the signings, and we can't say we didn't spend any money because he spent a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah. Great call, Connor. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really insightful stuff there. Newcastle fans, I really do want to hear from you, especially if you're at the ground today. If you were in St James's Park, Newcastle United have a very, very tribal, very supportive fan base. And the fact that they are now booing their team off, I think it does tell us an awful lot of what's going on at Newcastle. There is unrest at St James's. And if you were in there today, I really would love to speak to you. 03717 22 3344. That is the phone number to ring if you want to air your views to the nation. 03717 22 3344. This is the Rory Jennings Show on talkSPORT. Let's go to Joe, who's a Liverpool fan. All right, Joe?
All right, Joe boy.
You all right, lads? How are you?
All right, mate.
All right, Joey, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. I've gone for a left winger, and I've gone for this player because if it's not your night, he'll pick your pockets again and again and again, and it's the pub fruit machine.
Oh, the old fruit.
Mate, the back line, we've got a doorman, we've got carpet and a fruit machine. Mate, this is the stiffest...
He wants him as a left winger.
Oh, you said left wing? I thought you said left back.
Fruit machine left wing.
Oh, he's not getting past anyone.
What, the fruit machine?
I mean, modern day wingers, you know, they're quite tall, lanky. I mean, look at Cody Gakpo, for example.
Yeah, but I wouldn't describe Cody Gakpo as a fruit machine.
I mean, you pick your pocket.
You wouldn't, would you?
Oh, the slot machine.
Yeah, oh, the old slot. Oh, see, you might change. Yeah, the old. Yeah.
The fruit machine, though.
No, listen, I'm having him. I'm not sure he's a left winger, mate.
Well, yeah.
It don't strike me. If I said to you, who are you playing that wide left? And I said the fruit machine, you go, who's he getting past?
Where are we thinking for the fruit machine? Because I like it. I feel like the fruit machine needs to be in there because he's a staple part of a pub.
You stick him in front of the back four.
You want to play him CDM? Why? Because
he's always picking pockets.
Picking pocket.
Okay. There's a little bit of that going on.
So we got a fruit machine in the seat.
He's like Yaya Toure, isn't he? It's Yaya Toure because he's not a Kante.
Casado? He's a bit of a Casado.
Oh, Yaya's like a big old unit, right?
Mascherano, the fruit machine, picture pocket.
Whoever, mate, right? But he's not a left winger. The fruit machine's not left wing. I think here's what we need. Right. We need a little bit of. We need a little bit of movement.
We need a bit of.
So we've got right back the coaster.
We've got the coaster at right back.
He ain't going nowhere. We've got carpet and the doorman, and in front is a fruit machine.
Yeah, and the condom machine in goal.
Mate, I wouldn't mind taking it. At the minute, if I saw that back...
You are listening to the Rory Jennings Show on talkSPORT. It has been a pulsating day of Premier League action. There is so much for us to get our teeth into, especially the goings-on at Newcastle United. They have lost at home to Brentford 3-2, having fought hard to get back into the game, having dominated the second half. They have still managed to snatch a defeat from the jaws of victory, and Newcastle fans are not happy. They were booed off at St James's Park. We're going to go straight back to the phone lines now. We're going to speak to Lewis. Lewis is a Newcastle fan. Lewis, where do you sit on this debate around Eddie Howe?
For a long time, I've been on the fence with whether I think he's the right man to take us forward or not. But I think today he showed that he might well be. I think the fact that at half-time he's actually decided to make changes in the formation for once, which is a big gripe of a lot of us. We're worried that, we've brought this big man in Baltimore, to hopefully play him alongside Worcester, sort of the Defoe and Crouch sort of style of play, perhaps, and just hasn't been happening. And finally tries it out today, and we looked a much, much better team in the second half, as you said.
You certainly did. You certainly did. You played well. You dominated. But there were so many errors, weren't there? Like, so many little mistakes, so many poor individual mistakes.
Yeah, exactly that. I think as much as I love the man, Trippier's his legs are gone. I don't think he's at the level he needs to be at to play in the league anymore. And if we had someone else to play in that position, he probably wouldn't be playing at the minute. And a lot of the errors come from down that side of the pitch. That third goal come from that side of the pitch.
Were you there, Lewis? Were you there today? Were you in the ground?
Yes, yeah, I was. Yeah.
And what was the feeling like around where you were sat?
It's becoming a negative now. The booing, it's not happened for a long time now. I think that's the last time that happened was Steve Bruce, maybe. We're talking, getting towards 5 years ago now, the last time that we booed one of our own teams off. Yeah. So.
And Lewis, did you boo them off?
No. I saw some positives in the end with making the changes. I think Baltimore is a man short of confidence now, but he kept finding himself some pockets of space. That is his position. He played up behind Worcester and then Asuda when he come on. Again, who I thought was a bit of a bright light. He ran and ran and ran, and that's what we need right now. Someone to press from the front.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. Like, one win. I'm looking at the record here. It's one win in your last 8. You're 12th in the league. Obviously, out of touch for any of the European conversation. At what point? Where do you draw a line here?
I think going with the owners. So we're looking at what the owners have done in the January transfer window by not backing Eddie as well. I think that might speak volumes in what their plans are to do at the end of the season, perhaps. Just a thought, why have they not backed the man? Has he already had his, money thrown at him? What he has spent his money on hasn't worked. Baltimore wasn't a success for a small period of time. Since then, looks completely out of place. Elanga, unfortunately, just hasn't worked. We've bought a man who plays counter-attacking football, and we don't play to his strengths. Chow, probably the only good signing we've made in the summer, really, because Ramsdale hasn't worked out either. A lot of the business he's done on his end of things just hasn't worked. So I think he needs to try and mix things up, which luckily he did today. Saw the positives in that. I hope he continues to try new things, because doing our typical 4-3-3, the exact same substitutes at the exact same time every game is just not working anymore. It's been found out and it needs to stop. Otherwise, he's finding himself out of a job come the summer, I would imagine.
God, that's a great call there from Lewis. Nuanced and intelligent. Really, really interesting stuff. And the goings on at Newcastle United are fascinating. They really do seem like they are in a troublesome state. Some would suggest that it's a crisis, but it is undoubtedly Eddie Howe's biggest crisis during his 4-year reign there. Like, it hasn't been this bad for Eddie Howe. Is he the man to dig them out of trouble? Newcastle fans, let me know. 03717 22 3344. We're now going to speak to Charlie. Charlie is a Chelsea fan. Charlie, you're live on talkSPORT, sir. Good result, eh?
Hi, Rory. How are you?
I mean, I'm buzzing with that. What a performance from Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I know. It's about time since he's had a performance like that since his injury. Well, even since the second half of last season, really.
Yeah. I mean, what you think what have you been... It sounds like you were slightly frustrated with Palmer.
No, I'm not. I'm more frustrated about the drive home. It's been a hard away day with the weather and everything. But I'm more annoyed with the second half, to be honest.
What, you think we let them back into it? There was a moment, I was watching it, there was a moment, wasn't there, where you thought, have we opened the door to them? If they got a second, we would have been really under pressure.
So far, I've seen been able to dig out all these wins and good results other than the Arsenal game. But it just seems like either in the first half or the second half, the way he sets up doesn't seem to be right. And then he does correct it, fair play to him, and the subs he makes it great. But once you come up against your Cities, your Liverpools, you can't be messing up in the first and second half every game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's learning though, isn't he? He's cutting his teeth. When you appoint a manager who is clearly out of his depth, you have to be patient. They have to be allowed to make the mistakes on the job. They are learning on the job.
Yeah, and it's a fair point. He's had no pre-season, he's had no Prem experience. But I guess overall, obviously I'm happy we won. But we're playing bottom of the league. The first half was great. I just didn't see a point in switching it. I guess maybe if you had no issues with the way you were, because you weren't giving Wolves any space the first half, and then you started to give them space. They started creating opportunities. It was just difficult to me, but I am happy overall with the result.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Charlie, we can hear from the man of the moment now. Chelsea's Cole Palmer. He's been speaking after scoring a hat-trick today against Wolves, where he had this to say on playing football under Liam Rosenior.
Yeah, everyone's loving it under the new boss. Give everyone confidence, So yeah, it's really enjoyable. I think just the way he gives confidence to everyone. He don't mind changing the team. He believes in us all. He speaks to all of us. He lets us be ourselves. He gives us good game plans and stuff. So yeah, everyone likes him, and hopefully it can continue.
What's this knack of first half hat tricks you have, Cole? You're the first one in the Premier League to do it 3 times.
I don't know, to be honest.
Just when opportunity comes.
Yeah.
It must be quite a frustrating season for you, given how big a season it is, to have the injuries that you've been carrying.
Yeah, no. Obviously, never been injured before, and then picking up this injury where it's not like a muscle injury. It's not times. It's not like when you do a hamstring, you get a time frame or whatever. This one was just day by day, but it just seemed to not get better, and still going on now, but it is feeling a lot better, and hopefully soon it will just clear, and I can just focus purely on performing.
He's the best player in the league, wouldn't you say? I think that he is undoubtedly the best player in the league. I think that Cole Palmer, the way that he's been playing, the player that we know he can be, the big game moments that you are guaranteed from Cole Palmer, scoring for England in a Euros final, scoring for England against Spain in Berlin, winning Chelsea European silverware, putting in that performance for Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain. You've also got to think about what he did for City. He won Manchester City a European trophy, didn't he? So I think that he is an outrageously talented player, and we really are lucky to have him. Charlie, you there?
Yeah, I am. I completely agree. He's been arguably the best signing we've had since I know it's only been 2 seasons, but if he keeps going the way he's going, he's probably the best signing since Hazard, I'd say. And he just, even from a neutral's point of view, he's absolutely magic to watch. And I think he brings, unless he's playing against you, you like watching him play.
Yeah, but Cole Palmer on form is the point of football for me. That's what you want footballers to be. You want footballers to be maverick artists. Like Cole Palmer is. He's a throwback, isn't he, to a 1970s maverick footballer. A joy to watch. Yeah. And I love, all my life I've loved players like that. I loved Paul Merson. I loved Matt Letizia. I will always have a soft spot for a Paolo Di Canio, a player that just plays with his heart. And in a world at the moment, particularly with football, it does feel very systemic. Nobody dreams when they're a kid of being a good system footballer. Nobody wants to be Rodri. Everybody wants to be Cole Palmer.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you think of some of the greatest dribblers like Messi, Hazard, and then another Chelsea player, Lazola. You just think these are the people talk about for years to come. People won't be talking about your Rodri for years and years after they retire, but I think you'll have like names like we still talk about Zola, Messi will be talked about for generations and generations. And I think if Cole Palmer stays in the form he did in his first season and he gets rid of his injury and goes back to his best, I think he'll be one of the England players we speak about for a long time.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. What happens to us for the rest of this season, Charlie? If it goes well, where do we end up?
If the rest of the season goes well...
Yeah, how do you think it goes?
How do I think it will go? I think it will go how it goes most seasons under the new ownership. I think we'll look good in times, and then we'll drop silly points against teams like relegation teams like that Leeds game. That really knocked all our form off from that season, from this season, didn't it? 3-1 away loss.
Yeah, it's horrible. That was the end of Maresca, wasn't it? The shuffling of the pack that he did at Ellen Road was such a mistake. Yeah. Like for Chelsea to go to Ellen, I think for anyone to go to Ellen Road, but any Chelsea fan will know that when we go to Ellen Road, it's a huge game. It's one of the most spiteful games that we're going to play. The rivalry goes back, and you can't rotate. And the fact that we did, it really did cost us this season.
I think he misjudged it. I saw a stat, and it was like within like over 50+ meetings with Leeds over our history, we've only won 9 times. I saw that stat before the game.
We won the important one in 1970, though, Charlie. Don't let them forget that.
There was that one. I have to say I was too young to be there, but I have heard a lot about that.
Yeah, brilliant. Charlie, great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Now, I must remind you that we have got live boxing following us tonight as Nick Ball defends his WBA World Featherweight title against Brandon Figueroa in front of a home crowd in Liverpool. You can hear the undercard live right now on talkSPORT 2. Adam Catterall and the Fight Night team, including Spencer Oliver, Gareth A. Davis and John Rawling, will provide you with all of the action. You really do not want to miss it. But for now, 03717 223344 is the number to call to air your views to the nation. That's 03717 223344. This is the...
Arnie was talking about style of play rather than trophies. It's great to win trophies looking good, but I don't think Liverpool fans will put up with not winning any trophies, or it'll be hard for them. You've got to win something.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And you know, with the money that they've spent as well, I mean, you've always got that thing which is you've got to win something. You rightly say. I think that with them is that, you know, good result against Newcastle. Yeah, take it all day long. But as I say, we're still looking at, you know, what's it going to be at the weekend. Whereas, as we know with last year, it was like win, win, win all the time. And the thing about it as well, they've had lots of injuries, Liverpool. But listen, you know, it happens to everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt, where do you sit with Arne Slot? Obviously, doing really well in the Champions League. Looking to have maybe picked up a bit of form again. Where do you sit on it all?
He's one of those who's I think you know when you see his press conferences and you look at him, I think he talks a bit too much, which probably sounds ridiculous, but it's what like you have to consider with the previous manager, who was obviously absolutely brilliant, and it's difficult in times to kind of follow him. But we won the league last year, and it's always difficult the next year to win the league again. And he's had that, but he's had lots of injuries. I just feel if you ask the majority of Liverpool supporters, they'll tell you that is when he changes it, it doesn't exactly make it any better at the moment. So, and people have said, "Oh, he's not this and he's not this," and we might have to sack him and all that. I think that's rubbish. I don't think he's in that position. But you're looking at it at the moment. He's just not quite got it right, I would say.
How did it all come crashing down for Wales so suddenly? In his first tenure in charge, Warren Gatland built a dynasty, taking young guns and turning them into giants, not just for Wales, but for the Lions as well. 4 Six Nations titles, 3 of them Grand Slams, and in 2019, a world #1 ranking. But then, a record drop-off, golden generation all but gone, a first wooden spoon for 21 years, and 14 losses on the bounce. Why? Perhaps the main reason was poor spending. During Gatland's first tenure, the WRU committed its funds to world-leading training facilities for the national side, but underinvested in the club scene. Despite Ireland raking in similar overall revenues, its union would be committing up to £30 million a year more than Wales to their provincial clubs. In 2023, a report found the WRU had flitted away an £84 million TV deal on the purchase of a Cardiff hotel and a zip wire above the Principality. At the same time, the regional budgets and salary caps were being slashed, and they're still being cut. Add this to a distinct lack of player pathways when compared to the private school-fueled setups in Ireland, Scotland and England, the continuous rise of football's popularity and generational talents going elsewhere. It all meant when Abby Tierney became CEO, having never worked in sport before, she had a mountain to climb. And yet the beauty of sport, of course, is it isn't played in the boardroom, and sometimes it takes surprisingly little for the narrative to shift almost overnight. When Gatland left for the second time, interim coach Matt Sherratt only had 3 training sessions before Wales' next game, but the team looked unrecognisable, and all he did was pick players in the right positions and provide a bit of attacking structure. Suddenly, Wales were back pushing Ireland to the wire. As Gatland's first tenure taught us, for Wales' success to be sustainable, once the books are balanced, the regions need more money, salary caps need boosting, player pathways need investment. But it doesn't have to mean Wales lose every game in the meantime.
What's happening, everyone, and welcome to the Rory Jennings Show live on talkSPORT. It has been a phenomenal day of Premier League action. Newcastle United have been beaten at home. Newcastle United have been booed off at St James's Park. Cole Palmer scored a brilliant first-half hat-trick to secure Chelsea the 3 points. And Manchester United have won yet again under Michael Carrick. Manchester United have now surpassed their points tally from last season with 13 games to go. What is happening at Manchester United? Everything that Michael Carrick is doing is incredible from his perspective, but it is painting the contribution of Ruben Amorim in a terrible colour. Ruben Amorim is looking more and more like a fraud day by day. Michael Carrick is getting everything right, though. It really is incredible. Not good news for Tottenham, and West Ham did find a huge victory in a relegation 6-pointer. We are now live on YouTube and also on Android TV and Google TV. We are even on Prime Video. But now it's all about you, your opinions, so please do give us a call. 03717 223344. That's 03717 223344. That's a number to call to air your views to the nation on the Rory Jennings phone-in show on talkSPORT. Right, we are going straight back to the phone lines. We're going to talk to a Chelsea fan who I've spoken to before, who has given me some stick Let's hear now what London, the Chelsea fan, has to say. London, you're live on talkSPORT. Good to speak to you again, mate.
Good evening, Rory.
How are you?
How are you, my brother?
I'm all right, London. I feel like you're gonna have some stern words for me.
Nah, I just got 4 words for you.
Go on.
Ha, 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 and ha.
Yeah, I mean, look, you.
How are you, Rory?
I'm
How are
very
you,
well.
sir? How
I'm
are
very
you?
well. London, I'm on your side here. I'm delighted. I'm delighted the way that it's going. You did predict it though, and I didn't.
I'm happy you are, Rory, because I want you to be. I want you to be delighted. I want you to buy into what this young man is doing. Look at this, Rory. You know, there's 2 things I saw today. You know, there's 2 young English managers, future national team managers, and the English people got to get behind him. One is Sim Assured right now at this minute, if he keeps on going, which is our manager, Liam. And the other one is Michael Carrick at Man United. Look at this, Rory. You've got 2 young English managers taking over, well, I don't want to call our club, well, we are almost. But Man United, that was beleaguered. That situation's a beleaguered. You know, Amorim was a beleaguered manager. And you look at Michael Carrick, he goes there, he gets 4 wins in a row. You look at Liam, he gets 4 wins in a row. And are they speaking about this, Rory? No, they are not. I'll tell you what, Rory. If Liam was Liam Sanchez and it was Michael Fernandez, everyone would have been raving on about it. Why? Because they are not English. They are not English. Why can't you guys? This is not, Rory, this is no longer me and you at Chelsea getting behind the Englishman. This is about the nation now.
Mate, this is like a rallying cry to the nation, a patriotic rallying cry from you, London.
Rory, I hate to see people disband, abandoning their own.
So what do you think, London? Do you think overall then, do you think that we are too harsh on English managers, or do you think we're too generous? Some would suggest that we're too generous. The fact that they're in the job would suggest that we're quite generous, wouldn't it?
Rory, what you really do is you set up a honey trap. You kind of like praise them, and when you get them in that position of of elevating themselves to success, you want to gun them down. You know, it's like I don't understand. You know what, Rory? The English media, I'll tell you what, it is one of the most evil medias you can ever find. It's like England eats its own babies. England destroys its own. Why? Because it is so seduced. And I'm not saying this in a facetious way, Rory, but England like its own kind when it does well.
So what do you think? What do you think? You think that we aren't supportive enough of young English managers? You think we're too hard on the likes of maybe Wayne Rooney when he was at Plymouth, Frank Lampard during his various managerial stints? You think that we're too hard on English managers?
Rory, this thing is deeper than just Wayne Rooney at Plymouth. Wayne Rooney, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, all these were top English players. I mean, look, JT should be in a job, but Rory, between me and you, we all know why JT is being stifled out of jobs. You know, we both know. Let's keep it that way. But the thing is, Rory, with these guys, because they were top players, there's so much that's expected of them. You know, so much expected of them to do so well in a short space of time. And the thing is, Frank, Super Frank, he went to Derby, did very well. Wayne Rooney to me, he's been a charlatan. Wayne Rooney to me is a fantastic pundit, and I think that's where he should stay. I love him on Match of the Day. He shouldn't go to management because Liam right now, they showed everyone that if you know Liam Rosenior's CV or resume, you know that Wayne Rooney is a man that comes across as not what he is because of what he did at Derby.
London, I think you've raised a really interesting point here. I think that there is a debate to be had. Are we too harsh on English managers? Or some would argue that we're too generous. Do we give the likes of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney an easy ride? Or do we make life very difficult for them? If anyone has strong feelings on that, it's a great point by London. He's raised it, and if anybody wants to have an opinion on that, give me a ring, 03717 22 3344. We're now going to cross to James, who is a Newcastle fan. James, how are you?
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'm very well, James. I'm very well. Just a quick one. Do you think we're too harsh or too generous to English managers?
To be fair, I think we're very generous towards them because I think they're great for English football. I think it's nice to see English managers doing well in the Premier League, never mind in the football calendar. I think they're great for English football itself because you see these many foreigners managers like Mourinho, etc., winning titles at Chelsea, and I don't think the English managers don't get enough credit they deserve. Like we've got Eddie Howe, and he's delivered the best football for Newcastle United. He's taken me to the Champions League. He's won with the League Cup, and I'll always be grateful for that. And for me, I always will be an Eddie Howe in because for what he's done for Newcastle United, you know, he's come in and he's saved us from relegation. He's took us to the Champions League, like I said, and I think he deserves the credit. But at the minute, we're all on a bit of a slump because we've got players injured and we couldn't spend in the January transfer window due to PSR or FFP or whatever you want to call it. But I do think English managers should be praised because I think they are the key to the future in my eyes.
So with regard to that then, James, Eddie Howe, there is certain pressure on Eddie Howe. People are asking questions about Eddie Howe that they haven't asked before. He is undoubtedly in his worst period at Newcastle. He's been there for 4 years. It's not been as bad as this. And some would argue that he's in a crisis. Newcastle United are in a crisis. I don't feel like the press, and I'm perhaps even including myself in this, I don't feel like we go for the jugular of Eddie Howe the way that we did Ruben Amorim. The way that people talk about Frank Lampard as a manager is very different to the way people talk about Eddie Howe as a manager. Is there... Where do you sit on Eddie Howe? Do you feel like he is the right man to get you out of this crisis?
Yes, I do. He just needs time because we've got a lot of injuries. I mean, is it Livermental who's on the sidelines at the minute? He's due back soon, hopefully. There is a lot of players out there who are injured at the minute, and Eddie Howe, if he's listening, he has my full support. I don't want him to go for, like I said, for many reasons. He's given so much happiness, and he needs time. I don't think we're in a clubbing crisis. I think we're just on a bit of a bad run of form because we've had the likes of Man City in the Cup, I've had Liverpool away, and we've got Man City to go again. So
you think Eddie Howe is the man to take you out of this slump?
Absolutely, 110%.
Great call there, James. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really interesting stuff. Eddie Howe certainly has the backing of James, a Newcastle fan there. Any other Newcastle fans who are listening, please do give me a ring, 03717 22 3344. Now, I need to let you know that we have got live coverage of Super Bowl 60 on talkSPORT tomorrow night from 11 p.m. Join our team live from Santa Clara, California, as the Seattle Seahawks take on the New England Patriots for the Vince Lombardi Trophy. That's Super Bowl 60 live on talkSPORT tomorrow night from 11 p.m. Keep your calls coming into us, 03717 22 3344. This is the Rory Jennings phone-in show on talkSPORT.
I mean, arguably, Crook, it could have been a lot worse than this, couldn't it? We thought it might be. This was an additional charge. There was an additional charge for a failing of an obligation to provide full, complete and prompt assistance to the Premier League. Let's be clear. They tried to use a loophole to stop getting an earlier points deduction when they were in the Premier League. Leicester said it was disproportionate, but did they get off lightly?
Yes. And I think Leicester as a football club have been punished for trying to wriggle out of things by trying to use, as Simon Jordan described, the sort of black hole where they were neither a Championship or a Premier League club in order to dodge the charges. They've caught up with them in the end. I know the Premier League were pushing for as many as 20 points to be taken off Leicester, which pretty much would have resigned them, I think, to League One football next season. Will they
appeal the Premier League that this isn't harsh enough, the punishment?
Well, that's an interesting question because I don't think Leicester will appeal. And maybe risk a further point deduction. I think they should feel they got off lightly. But just looking at their statement, and a lot of Leicester fans have picked up on this, it probably tells you where they're at as a football club. There was no real contrition from Leicester. They're still trying to play the victim for the fact they breached PSR rules to the tune of nearly £21 million. They've brought a lot of this on themselves. They've made bad decision after bad decision. They've hired and fired managers with too much regularity. They've sold players, but replace them with players who aren't up to standard. And that's why we're now in a situation whereby on the 10-year anniversary of Leicester winning the Premier League, defying those odds of 5,000 to 1, 10 years to that very day is the last day of the Championship season. They could find themselves in the third tier.
But hold on a second here. This all unravelled when Brendan Rodgers was in charge, and maybe before it unravelled. It has to be remembered that Leicester City were consistently disrupting the established elite. 2 seasons running, they missed out on Champions League qualification on the final day. They won the FA Cup. They reached a European semi-final. Actually, have Leicester City got a case here of being a team that have just been punished for simply showing a little bit of ambition and daring to try and disrupt the big boys?
I don't think it's the ambition that's cost them. It's the poor decisions they've made since those glory days of winning the Premier League and the FA Cup.
What are you thinking now? Burnley 0, West Ham 2, and it's come from Valentin Costanalos.
And it's a red card for Romero. He went in a little bit too heavy on Casemiro. Argentina on Brazil.
Wolves 0, Chelsea 3. Hat-trick Cole Palmer inside the first 37 minutes of this game.
And then Bruno Fernandes is there to stab it home at the Stretford end and secure all 3 points for Manchester United.
It's the equaliser. It's Bournemouth 1, Aston Villa 1. What a wonderful goal this is from the new signing, Ryan.
Arsenal 3, Sunderland 0. Viktor Gyökeres off the bench at the double.
6 left. The goal has gone to Everton, who look like winning now. Fulham 1, Everton 2. This is an embarrassment for the Fulham defence, in particular goalkeeper Bert Leno.
That's football for you. It's Newcastle 2, Brentford 3, and it's Atari with the left-footed strike at the Gallagher end to break Newcastle's hearts. Newcastle caught 6s and 7s at the back, and Atari just settled himself, got into the corner of the box and fired it across Nick Pope. Newcastle 2, Brentford 3.
Oh, this is the Rory Jennings phone-in show, and that is how Saturday sounded live on talkSPORT. We are going to go straight back to the phone lines, and you heard it there in the package, a huge result for West Ham United. We're now going to speak to Billy, the West Ham fan. How are you, Bill?
How you doing, Roy? You okay?
Yeah, I'm well. Huge result for you today, I thought.
Oh, absolutely massive result, mate. Yeah, big 3 points for us. I'm not going to kid myself now. We've still got a long way to go. We've got a big game coming up with Man United. We all know how, sort of form they've been in with Michael Carrick as their new manager. I just think that, players like Somerville coming out and how he's been playing the last sort of 4 or 5 games.
Don't stop scoring.
He's just been a new player for us. He's been unbelievable, Rory.
Yeah, no, he's been brilliant.
I think it is now.
Absolutely brilliant.
And it's just the whole team spirit of West Ham now. You look at it, and just under Nuno, and you've got to give him credit when credit's due. That he's come in, we've been a bit of a mess as a club, or a bit of a mess. We still are in a mess as a club, as in the board. But let's not talk about that today. But yeah, he's coming. He's sorted the team out. We've got a good high team spirit within the squad now. I just think it's good days.
It is, and the spirit seems to be quite high as well. Like there was a moment, wasn't there, earlier this season where it felt really low, really deflated. But I saw one of my mates goes away with West Ham, and he was up there today. He sent me a great video of West Ham fans singing about that Tati Castellanos, sort of changing the words of bad manners, lip up fatty, and made it lip up tatty, which I thought was brilliant. Brilliant. I want you to stay up purely off the back of that. If you get bad manners into an away end, I think you deserve to be in the Premier League.
100%, 100%. And don't get me wrong, like the London Stadium, it is a fishbowl. Let's be honest. It's the atmosphere is not great. But look, it's still my club, West Ham. It always will be. Do
you think you will do it? Do you think you survive?
I don't, Rory. You put me on the spot here, mate.
I am. Do you know what? It's hard when you've got a dog. When you've got a dog in a fight like this, it's hard. But I
think we will. I think Nottingham Forest. I think they've done great, and people will probably mock me on here, but I think that his owner is a passionate owner, and he wants to go out and he'll spend the money, and he won't. When it comes to PSR, he's really not bothered about it. But I just think that I don't know. I think Forest, especially that big loss with Leeds, I think they'll drop more points, mate. And I think if we could just keep Somerville fit, and he looks fit, he looks sharp. Not just Somerville, Bowen.
Billy, you keep talking about Forest. From that, do I glean that you believe that it's between you and Forest? So Burnley are gone, Wolves are gone, and then it's West Ham or Forest.
I would love Tottenham to get involved.
Yeah, I think it's bigger than yours. I think it's bigger than you seem to be suggesting.
It may be, but we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
We've still got a long way. We've still got lots of games to go, and it might even come down to the final game, Rory, when West Ham play Leeds. And I've got some fantastic Leeds friends, and that will be a very tense game.
It'd be horrible.
Look,
we relegated Leeds once, mate. We relegated Leeds at Stamford Bridge. Their final day in the Premier League was at Stamford Bridge. It was awful.
Let's not talk about Chelsea, Rory, because what you said earlier about Cole Palmer being one of the best players in the Premier League this season, he's been useless, mate. Come on.
Oh, this was going so well. That's the least controversial thing I've ever said on the airwaves. Cole Palmer's undoubtedly one of the best players in the league. Undoubtedly. One of the most natural footballers in the league. The end product is there for all to see.
Would you say he's been the best player this season?
No, I think he's been injured a lot this season. I think he's been injured. But if you think about his body of work,
how can you say he's been the best player? Rory, look, I've had a great conversation with you. It's been great. But
it's all going wrong now. You've pressed the self-destruct button. You've come at me for the one thing that I desperately care about, and that's Cole Palmer.
This is why I know, mate. This is why I listen to your show constantly. Yeah? And when I heard you say that, I thought, what's this guy? I was like, Rory, what are you on about, mate? He's been injured.
He's been injured, but there's absolutely no doubt that he is one of the best players in the league. Like, it's 44 goals, 20 assists in 103 games.
Not at the moment for me.
At the moment.
Would you put him right now in the top 10? In the top 5 best players?
No, he's not. He's not in the top 5 form players of the season. He's not in the top 5 form players, but he's undoubtedly in the top 5 players in the Premier League.
He needs to do a little bit more for me to be in that position, mate.
You're a hard man to please. You're a hard man to please, Bill. I do appreciate your call, though. Thank you so much for calling in. We're going to now cross and speak to Lindsay, who is a Newcastle United fan. Lindsay, first question: were you there today?
Unfortunately, not, mate. It's a bit far for me to travel, unfortunately, for Wiltshire.
Right.
But I have to admit, I think I can only thank Eddie for what he's done, but I think it's time to go.
Do you really?
The last Newcastle call, yeah, honestly, mate. Your last caller from the Newcastle fan was saying all the injuries and everything. He had all of January to fix that. The CEO even come out and said there was money to spend. He wasted over 200 million on Alanga and Ramsey. He kept Ursula when he's not even a League Two player. When we got offered 30 million, he declined that. Absolute stupidity. And he keeps playing the same formation, same players. He will never drop Gordon. Gordon's only dropped because he's injured. You know, Gordon's been absolute pants.
So what's the future then, Lindsay? If it is time for Eddie Howe to go, who's the next manager?
What's the future? Well, if they want to be ambitious, why not try Alonso? Why not try Chaddy?
Right.
They keep going on about English managers. Granted, right? What Southgate done well for you, but how boring was his football?
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we can debate how well he
England,
did.
like coming from a Scotsman as well, right? Every game he's got to what? A European final, right? He's got so far in the World Cup, and yet your own fans were saying, get him out, he's boring. Eddie's the exact same. He refused, teams know how they're going to play. Teams know when he's going to do his subs, who he's going to bring on. No, we didn't have a director of football in the summer, so it was all Eddie's players he brought in on his own, and they're not performing. Yeah. So we've sacked managers for less.
So you think it's time? You think it's time for Eddie Howe to go and the club to demonstrate a bit of ambition? Have you been surprised at the lack of ambition from the PIF? Like, is that fair what I've said? Overall, have the PIF been unambitious?
I wouldn't say the PIF. I think it's the sheer fact that Eddie wants proven Premier League players, right? And granted, Gordon worked, right? He's now kind of shut off a bit. Langer's not worked. Ramsey definitely hasn't worked, right? They've went ambition with Altamada. He was good for the first half of the season. We still need to give him time to bleed in, right? But spending, 50-odd million on Visser, who coming up to, almost 30?
Yeah.
I wouldn't see any other team spending that. They just panicked. That was a panic buy.
Yeah.
Why not actually look out and look into the Spanish leagues, into the Italian leagues?
What do you think happens, Lindsay? Do you think they actually get rid of him, or do you feel like he will be given time to try and steady the ship? This is his first crisis at the club. He's been there 4 years.
No, I get that, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done. Right, I genuinely can't. But the sheer fact that he's now had the whole of January fixed the issues that we've had, and he's not fixed them. Right? If the PIF want to be ambitious, they'll turn around and say, "Look, Eddie, do the right thing and hand in your notice and go."
Yeah, it's a very interesting perspective, Lindsay. A very interesting perspective, and I do appreciate the call. That is the first Newcastle fan that I've spoken to who has explicitly said that it's time for Eddie Howe to go. If you are a Newcastle fan and you have strong feelings on that, please do give me a ring, 03717 223344. Now, moments ago, I spoke to a West Ham fan who, apart from the slander towards Cole Palmer, was very erudite, gave some interesting takes, and was overall quite confident that West Ham could stay up. Now, following that impressive 2-0 victory over Burnley, talkSPORT's Mickey Gray caught up with West Ham gaffer Nuno Espirito Santo and got his thoughts on whether the Hammers are now safely pulling away from the relegation zone.
We have to go day by day. It doesn't change. It was important to react from the game against Chelsea. We played good. We didn't come out with the result, but the game was good in terms of what we did. Not so good in the second half, but that is the past. But definitely the reaction of the boys is what pleases me the most.
He's doing a very good job, Nuno Espirito Santo. It's not an easy job, but he is doing a very good job. He's making a fight of it, and I can certainly see a world where West Ham United will survive. This is the Rory Jennings Show on talkSPORT.
You can believe what? Why is it so hard to believe a black man than a white man? Understand me? Why is it so hard to believe a black man than a white man?
Why you don't believe it?
Why is it?
Let me answer the question.
Yeah, go on.
So we go there.
First and foremost, it's got nothing to do with colour.
No, it does. This whole country got some. This whole world got some stupid race. You think you pan out? You think you have you done had a great life? You think your life has been like mine?
How is Derek Chisora then, out of curiosity, given he's a black man, a national treasure in this country then? It's not about colour. You called somebody a cheat. I asked you a question.
Oh, come on. You have a whole lot of black people around
the question.
Thank you.
Like the question.
Stop,
you like the question. All right, I moved on.
Stop it.
I moved on.
Man, come on, man. Y'all can't tell, man.
So the bronze bomber, there he is.
Yeah, come on, man.
Come on, we can have a disagreement, can't we?
Life, as a little boy and I bet your view as a little boy is totally different than my view as a little boy. Most black people, why we so into it with each other, because we have PTSD. We done been through so much so much
you wanted to move on, right?
Come on, man. It's hard to move on when you don't know the truth, and that's when I come in and try to give you a vision, a little insight of what we go through as black people, man.
I got it.
You don't get it.
Well, okay.
None of y'all get it.
Where do you want me to go?
Y'all don't get it. And that's the problem. You think you get what you don't understand.
Okay.
Why is it so hard?
Pull it back into the fight. Let's talk about the fight.
It's hard to put it back. I'm from the South. You understand?
Come on, let's pull it back into the fight.
It's hard when y'all don't understand. I get it. Another situation. I said I didn't want to talk about the situation. Now you got me riled up.
Fair enough.
Wilder's back. I feel. You understand me?
I got it.
You don't mean that, man.
Okay, stop
let me get the out of here, bro. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Talking about my peoples and all that. It's hard to believe a black man than a white man. Cheated. Tell him to sue me so I can show the facts early. Because when the documentary and everything, the story come out, I'm going to show everything.
Fantastic.
I'm going to get all the people that know and all the people that's in the inside. He got people that the inside of him. They're going to know. I don't about that.
I'm not a Fury.
I don't about it. I said we didn't want to bring him up in the first place. It ain't got to do with him.
Fair enough.
The you talking about?
Corinthian Casuals are a team in the Combined Counties League Premier Division South. Despite that, they're one of the most important clubs in world football. Here's why. The club was formed in 1939 as the result of a merger between Corinthians FC and Casuals FC. Now, Corinthians FC were founded in the late 1800s when the FA's top brass were absolutely sick of getting pumped by Scotland every time they played them. As a result, Nicholas Lane Jackson set up an amateur side which would bring in the best players who could all play for the national side. And it worked. It wasn't long before England would dominate.
Now, the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is live. Matt Ford and Alex Brooker are joined by former England captain and talkSPORT's very own Stuart Pearce to talk about what makes a perfect leader in football. That's How to Win the World Cup podcast, available now on the talkSPORT app or on your favourite podcast provider. We can now hear from Brentford manager Keith Andrews, who has been speaking after his side's 3-2 victory over Newcastle United earlier this evening.
The belief is consistently growing amongst the group with a level of humility that will allow us to continue to grow, I feel. So yeah, it's not lost on me the level of the performance and the results that we've had in the last week. But I have to say, I thought that the quality of performance again, the individual performances, players stepping in, coming off the bench, impacting it, which we constantly speak about, was really impressive. Well, I know we'll keep pushing. I know we'll keep pushing really hard, actually, to see where we can get to and see as high as we can achieve. And I think that should be the aim for what we do daily, weekly, where we've come from as a group, where we are now. The consistency of the performances over numerous weeks and months really have grown from strength to strength. And with that, the confidence and the belief to really go anywhere and get results.
An incredible job from Keith Andrews, quite arguably, easily argued, managerial performance of the season. Outrageously good. I have to admit that I got that one totally and utterly wrong. He has shocked me and I am thrilled for him. He is doing so well at Brentford. We're going to go back to the phone lines now and we're going to talk to Cameron, the Manchester United fan. Cameron, I imagine you're the cat that got the cream, aren't you?
Yeah. You could say that. I've just got a couple of points, Rory. First being, I think Man United again today were brilliant. They were good. They were flawless on the ball, and Does that make Ruben Amorim a fraud? I don't know.
I think it certainly does. I think it certainly does.
Well, okay, it does. It just shows you the difference when you just play the basics and you play football.
Yeah, I completely agree, Cameron. Everything that we saw from Ruben Amorim, just to demonstrate the difference that Carrick has had. Like, Manchester United have already surpassed the points tally from last season with 13 games to go.
Well, exactly. And winning that 4 on the bounce now. And I think we're fifth. The fifth game is actually going to be our hardest game, considering the form of West Ham. I think that will be our biggest test. And I know that we've played City, we've played Arsenal, but I think West Ham are going to be our biggest test.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I thought today's victory was, on some definition, actually the best victory. It was the best one. You know, it wasn't relying on emotion. It wasn't about the huge occasion. It wasn't relying upon like the huge noise and the desperation to win of a derby. This was a routine victory. It was another day, another win for Manchester United. And that is what Manchester United needs to get back to. Just that standard procedure 2-0 home victory.
If Amorim was in charge today, we would have got beaten. Even with the red card. Even with Tottenham getting the red card, I think we still would have had a very hard game of it.
No, I completely agree. Not only that, if you'd have had Bruno Fernandes playing in some deep role, Kobe Mainoo would have been nowhere near the starting lineup, Amad Diallo would have been playing as a fullback. Sometimes football's a very simple game, and Ruben Amorim is a complete fraud, a complete imposter. He tried to pull the wool over all of our eyes by
being the nice guy.
By pretending that the game was played on a different plane that we could possibly understand. He was he was like suggesting that if you didn't understand his ridiculous tactics, it was because you didn't understand football in the perfect way that he did. Amad Diallo was one of Manchester United's best players the previous season. He stuck him at fullback. Bruno Fernandes has been probably Manchester United's best player over the past decade. He played him as a holding midfielder. Kobe Mainoo is a man who started for England in a Euros final. He's got him on the bench watching Manuel Ugarte play football. If that doesn't demonstrate 100%. That Ruben Amorim is a complete charlatan, I don't know what does.
No, 100%. And I'll also quickly say another 2 points. Well, we're going on about English managers. I would love to see an English manager win the Premier League, but we've still got to remember an English manager's never won the Premier League. I don't know why. There's never been that quality. Who could you see would be the next the English manager to potentially win the Premier League? I can't see it being Eddie Howe.
No. At the moment, it's not. At the moment, it's not looking likely. But to try and explore a reason around that, Cameron, do you think that we give English managers enough opportunity? I mean, our own FA, the English FA, hasn't even trusted an English manager. So why should we expect clubs to do it? Yeah, we've gone for a German.
Well, that's exactly. And you hit the nail on the head, and everything that you're saying is on point, because they don't give the faith to the English managers. And I don't know if that's a culture thing or we've always preferred foreign football compared to our own football, if that makes sense. We've always imported. Our game, or the English game, is never exported to play styles that are in Spain, that are in France, that are in Italy and Germany. We've always imported.
Yes,
and it seems like the same with managers. You import these foreign managers who, they do win stuff. But where is the English pride and English determination to have a manager that can win the...
Yeah, absolutely. But maybe it will come. Cameron, it's a great call. And the discourse around Ruben Amorim is suffering massively because of the brilliance around Michael Carrick. Thank you so much for your call there, Cameron. We're going to now cross and speak to Billy, the Tottenham fan. Oh, dear.
Hiya, mate.
Dear. Billy, can I ask you a question? I don't want this to sound loaded.
Of course you can.
Are you in a relegation scrap?
I can't bring myself to say it, mate. I can't bring myself to say it.
Like, do you know what? Moments ago, Billy, I don't know if you were listening, I was talking to a West Ham fan, and the West Ham fan was sort of positioning their bid for survival, their quest for survival, and he kept bringing up Forest, and it was like Forest, all West Ham, and I thought, he's missing a massive opportunity here. It isn't Forest or West Ham. It's Forest, West Ham, Leeds, Palace, and Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham's fixtures and Tottenham's form really does suggest to me that they are in a relegation scrap.
Don't get me wrong. I looked at the the upcoming fixtures, and my mate's a Liverpool fan, and I said I don't want to see us winning anything. It's been abysmal this season.
Mm.
You know, we're really, really missing like a player like Harry Kane. Just like not necessarily the goals that he scored, because Dominic Solanke, he's getting better, but just that character.
Do you know what I think you are missing?
Look,
you know far more about Tottenham's culture than I do, but I don't support Tottenham, and I certainly don't want to see them win. But you know what you've always had all my life? You've always had a glorious player, an icon. And like when I was a kid, you had, I don't know, Jurgen Klinsmann. When I was a little bit older, David Ginola. Then you had Gareth Bale. When I was a kid, Gazza. There's always been like these true icons at the club. You've had Harry Kane for a decade, Heung-min Son. There isn't really that maverick, unpredictable, mercurial talent that is so associated with Tottenham Hotspur. And I don't really understand why.
Joe, the only player that I could see potentially becoming that, if he could not stay fit and not get injured, is James Maddison. Because as a player,
you are
I love
joking, aren't you?
I love James Maddison as a player. Like when I
love James Maddison, the YouTuber.
Growing up,
I think he's better at
that. His YouTube videos are quite good, to be fair. But like growing up, I wasn't into football, and then I went to my first football game when I was 16 to Tottenham, and Dele Alli for me was just the one.
Yeah, Dele Alli was
that man.
There was a period where Dele Alli was at. But overall, Billy, what do you think? Do you think that Tottenham are in a relegation scrap, or are you not really thinking along those lines?
My dignity can't say that we are.
Yeah, fair enough. I rate that. Billy, thank you so much for your call. Really, really do appreciate it. Now, we have got live boxing following us tonight as Nick Ball defends his WBA World Featherweight title against Brandon Figueroa in front of a home crowd in Liverpool. You can hear the undercard live right now on talkSPORT 2. Adam Catterall and the Fight Night team, including Spencer Oliver and Gareth A. Davis, as well as John Rawling, will provide you with all of the action, and you really do not want to miss it. Now, keep your calls coming in. We have 15 minutes left, and I really do want to hear from you. 03717 223344 is the number to call, and I'm looking at my switchboard now, and there is certainly room, so do give me a ring. 03717 223344. This is the Rory Jennings phone-in show live on talkSPORT.
Let's focus on Chelsea. Liam Rosenior back pages again. Rosenior hits out at Arsenal. Chelsea head coach accused the opponents of disrespect for disrupting his side's warm-up before the cup tie.
I wouldn't come out with that, me.
I guess he was asked about it.
Bat it away, use your brains, use your head. Say, mate, what's your point? You saying that costs the game? Nah.
He got a bit excited, didn't he? Really, you saw if you've watched the video, I'd love to see how far onto their side of the pitch they were, because they didn't pan round, did they? They just showed him giving a bit to somebody. You didn't see who it was at. You didn't see how far they were into there. If they're right in their half and they're constantly doing it, then I get it. I understand it, but still, it's just calm it down.
Rosenior mentioned that it could be mind games, though. Do you believe that the Arsenal players were creeping into that half to get in their heads, or was it just a genuine?
They've done the job either way. They've got in their head either way.
Well, now he's talking about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know. Arsenal were favourites to win that game for me. Why would you? Nah. Maybe you might say, look, you know the rules, stay in your own half. But nah, I don't. I think we're looking at a big problem here that's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't think they need to resort to doing that, Arsenal.
Yeah, he said in the interview, I've never asked my team to approach on the opposition's territory. I didn't think it was right. Where they were operating, they were affecting my lads' warm-up. What's your thoughts on Rosenior?
I'm still a little bit waiting for it, to be honest with you. The results are ultimately going to be the thing that dictates whether he's a success or not. Some of the things he comes out and says, obviously the world that we live in now, social media, they're so quick to make memes up, honestly, Alan. I don't know if you're on Twitter, Instagram, any of this kind of stuff.
A little, but not really.
It's brutal, honestly. It's a brutal place to be at times. They are so quick at making these memes up, David Brent and all that. And that, I think, subconsciously seeps into people's minds and it makes their mind up for them. But yeah, I think, like I say, it's just going to be down to results. It is simple as that.
And you've got to be able to, I think, laugh that off as well. I mean, look at our...
You are listening to the Rory Jennings Phone Show live on talkSPORT. We're now going to hear from Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe, who's been speaking after his side's 3-2 defeat at home to Brentford earlier this evening.
Yeah, really disappointing result for us. Lads put a lot of effort into the game, but ultimately I don't think we played particularly well. And especially when you look at the goals we conceded again, we'll kick ourselves with how we defended some of those moments, some of those key moments in the game, and we conceded at really bad times. I think we've lost a little bit of confidence for sure with the run that we've been on. I think the players have been really trying to execute what we're asking them to do, but I think you can see there's a bit of fatigue in the performance. I think we've been unlucky in a few games. Injuries have taken their toll on the ability to rotate. That's been difficult, especially in defensive areas. So I think you put all that together, that's been a difficult period for us. But I think there's only one solution, and that's for us all to step up and give more. And that's what we're asking the players to do. We've got a busy schedule. There's no end to that. So we've got to tackle it head on.
Interesting words there from Eddie Howe. He sounds defiant. Let's see the impact that has had on the support. Let's speak to Frank, the Newcastle fan. Frank, what did you make of those words there from Eddie Howe?
Yeah, strong words, but I just want to bring it up to say I completely back Eddie Howe. He's right in what he says. We haven't got the depth like Chelsea and Arsenal have in their squad. It's always going to be difficult playing 2 games a week against top opposition. Although that's where we want to be, that's where we're trying to get to. We've got to have a big summer this summer. We've got to focus on the FA Cup this season now. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to have a big summer this year. And hopefully the backroom staff that haven't really been in place since Amanda Staveley and whatnot left are now in place, and we can have a good summer and get some recruits in.
Frank, it's interesting that you've just backed Howe almost blindly and loyal. That is what loyalty is sometimes, just completely backing Eddie Howe. Is there a line for you? Because it's 1 win in 8.
Yeah, obviously relegation would be the line, but I don't think that's going to happen, thankfully. I think Eddie Howe is the workaholic manager that Newcastle need. I think he will turn it around. Obviously, it is difficult with the reasons you just said there in his interview. I think he will turn it around.
Yeah, fair point, Frank. Great to speak to you there. We're going to now stay with Newcastle and speak to Simon. Simon, you heard the words from Frank there. Frank is totally backing Eddie Howe. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely disagree.
Do you really?
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's as much as I love Eddie Howe, there's almost this stubbornness from him to change. He doesn't change in game. And his comments I found very telling, where he previously said, if you need a plan B, a plan C, plan D, then your plan A isn't good enough. I'm sorry. There are multiple factors that mean plan A doesn't work. Having a plan, multiple backup plans, and being able to be tactically flexible, sometimes there are factors outside of your control, and you need to consider that. And for me, the fact that he, by his own admission, is a training ground manager, unfortunately, when you do have midweek games, which is the cost of being a team that's successful and playing in Europe, you don't get that training ground time. And I think for me, he's hitting a ceiling.
Simon, though, everything that you said, whilst it's true, this is the first crisis that he's had in a 4-year reign that has seen him qualify for the Champions League twice and win silverware. Are you lacking generosity?
No, I think whilst he's done great things for us, every manager naturally reaches the end of a cycle. Eddie's managerial style relies a lot on athleticism first and foremost. But the problem is athleticism, once fatigue sets in, can only get you so far, at which point tactical flexibility needs to play. And unfortunately, Eddie doesn't seem to almost be willing to demonstrate that. And so I could see why the initial approach for Emery was made in terms of having that continental manager that has that flexibility. And for me, we're becoming the most predictable team in the league. It's pass sideways, 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 nothing through the middle, play out wide, try and get crosses in.
Okay, Simon, so let's give you the reins to the club. If you genuinely believe that Eddie Howe's not the man for the job, considering everything that he's done, you've bought a lot of players that fit his mould. You know, that thing that you used to speak about, his identity was his intensity. He signed players that conform and chime with that approach. If you now decide that he isn't the manager to take you forward, what direction do you turn?
So what I would be doing, because obviously with the summer, a lot of good quality managers will be out and potentially out of a job in the World Cup after the World Cup. I'd be starting to sound them out now, looking to get pre sort of tournament agreements done and signed. Managers like Nagelsmann, managers even like Tuchel.
That top tier. Time for the top tier.
I think it is, and with the project with the backing of BIF, I think it was very telling that David Hopkinson and both Ross Wilson as well had said there was money to spend in January, and yet that opportunity wasn't taken.
Very interesting stuff there, Simon. Very interesting, and potentially Newcastle may have to follow your advice. We're now going to go to our final caller of the show. We're going to speak to Luke. Luke is an Arsenal fan. We thought, give it to you, Luke. We've got a couple of minutes. Dream come true, eh? Dream come true scenario. 9 points clear, and you're going to watch City take on Liverpool tomorrow.
I think it is a bit of a dream come true situation. Just not getting too carried away at the moment, purely for the fact of, City are this City team that, they can go on a real bad run, but then they can just go unbeaten in like 10, 11 games. I think, if we head into the City game with a 12-point cushion, it's maybe one hand, maybe one, and like the second hand in touch and distance of getting that Premier League trophy.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see a world where you don't get it now, Luke. I really can't.
See, I really want to, I've been an Arsenal fan all my life, and, I've seen all the times where we just won the FA Cup, and it's like, yeah, you win the FA Cup, and that's it. We hold the record for most FA Cup trophies and all that, but that's not a Premier League. The Premier League is the pinnacle of English football, and then on top of that would go the Champions League. And myself, I would be happy if, Carabao Cup, Premier League, I would go, do you know what? The process has shown that it works. If we went on and got a treble, whether that's with, the Champions League or the FA Cup as well, then, Arteta deserves all the praise that he gets.
Luke, I agree with you, though. One trophy. If Arsenal win the league this year, that is a fantastic, fantastic season. And sadly, though, that is all we have time for from me tonight. And as always, thank you to everyone who has called into the show. Now, don't forget, Sam Matterface has all the Sunday goals as they go in from 1:30 tomorrow before Majestic and Alan Pardew take all of your calls from 6:30 tomorrow evening. And if you love your NFL, we have live coverage of the Super Bowl 60 from 11 p.m. live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Coming up next, it's live boxing as Nick Ball defends his WBA featherweight title against Brandon Figueroa right here on talkSPORT.
I think there's times as well, isn't there? You look at the problem at Sheffield Wednesday and how Barry Bannon's gone about it when he's been there and he's come out and spoke when members of staff aren't getting paid and stuff. There's times to come out, isn't there, and speak, but the problems that Spurs are having when they've got so many good players available still. Just keep it in-house. Let Thomas Frank deal with that.
Yeah, for sure. Because Thomas Frank has obviously been asked about it. He was quite diplomatic in public. In private, would he have been fuming with his captain, you think?
I think so, yeah. I think he would have been fuming.
Does he do fuming?
He does sort of quiet fuming.
Scandinavian fuming.
Yeah, he doesn't shout and bawl, but he will drag you in there and have a word for sure.
Because you were with him for how long at Brentford? 3 years.
3 years.
How many times did he blow his top during that period?
Once or twice in the dressing room, but for sure, there were times he would drag players into the office and let them know. But in his way, he's not a shouter and baller. But in his way, he's more than willing to sort